Well, I definitely would like to thank our Port Commissioner, Dan Malcolm. He said a lot in that short time. I didn't realize he was going to say as much. Hope he didn't take the thunder out that I was hoping to bring to you. But let me go ahead and start. I'd like to thank Bill Landry, Pastor Jones, for doing what they did here in the beginning. Jackie Hall from the city of Imperial Beach, along with Ed Dia, for helping put this together. But most importantly, I'd like to thank everyone here tonight. Families, business owners, business partners, elected officials. I apologize if normally we recognize elected officials from other towns. I see folks from Coronado, from past port commissioners. I think it's really the people of Imperial Beach that we're here for this evening. So I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your day to come here and listen to us talk about Imperial Beach. I can't pass up thanking my wife, Debbie, for being here too. So what's in store for us this evening? I would like to hit on a few things from the last few years, give an overview of how we're doing financially today and in the near future, and of course, where things might be going in the long term. The various pictures we are viewing on the screen here behind me, these will be pictures of the past, the present, the future. They came up with this idea because it was a young man, a young Boy Scout from here in Imperial Beach, that came to our city council, and in his presentation it was mentioned that we don't seem to recognize what's going on around our town every day. And I think that young man made me aware that sometimes we assume things, and I really appreciate Skylar Elroy for bringing that thought to us, and that's why we have the little videos behind us. Another thing is, I've been talking to people that left Imperial Beach years ago, grew up here, and have just recently decided to move back to Imperial Beach. These folks have decided to raise their families here, come work here. They really do appreciate it. I think right there that says a lot for what you've done here in Imperial Beach. It makes people proud to be here. That's, I think, the most important thing. But I feel exceptionally honored to be here in front of all of you tonight. I'm honored to be able to share the excitement we are all feeling about our community. It's an honor to be your mayor for the last 7 years, and an honor to serve this fine city. Imperial Beach has established a valid sense of purpose. Our mission statement is simple: to maintain and enhance Imperial Beach as a classic Southern California beach town, a beach-oriented community with safe, small-town, family atmosphere, rich in natural and cultural resources. That statement says a lot. And I believe that most of us that live in the city believe we are living up to our mission statement. We are the last classic Southern California beach town with schools, small neighborhoods, with multiple housing options, and a full eclectic culture and beliefs. Imperial Beach is a great place to raise a family, own a business, or simply enjoy yourself. And if you're really lucky, you might even get to work here in town. I'm really happy that this hotel here, the restaurant, are actually employing dozens, I mean dozens, probably I'm short on the number, of people that live in Imperial Beach. I think that's enormous to see that we're able to give some decent employment locally. Our city goal is somewhat simple as well: to continue to strive to make Imperial Beach a better place to live. We all know that we have a fantastic beach and an iconic pier. Imperial Beach has the best weather in the world, at least in my opinion. With that said, we have to establish a good balance between our small town atmosphere and the fact that in time, things will change. As we all know, the change will be slow, but always be for the better. We should all be proud of making our town a little bit better. We have all learned to embrace the fact that we are surrounded by open space, green space, the beautiful blue ocean out next to us. I think we've come together and really adopted that as part of Imperial Beach. That makes us a unique town and an absolutely wonderful place to live. Let's talk a little bit about the last few years. In single-family homes, there have actually been 28 brand new single-family homes built in Imperial Beach. And that's enormous considering everybody here knows we really don't have any empty land. We can't build out. Those are people that saw some empty lots or saw the need for some properties to be redone. Those are 28 brand new single-family homes. The project with the Habitat for Humanity down on Florida Street which brought some affordable living here for people to own. They actually inspired a neighbor across the street to demolish his property and rebuild on it. I think that's a lot of community pride to take that action. We've worked on many clean and green projects, this mostly through redevelopment. We were able to help over 100 homes. Thank you. That have received the assistance with home energy efficiencies, tankless water heaters, zero scaping. Those are 100 homes in Imperial Beach that we were able to leverage our redevelopment funds to help those folks out. The commitment to our community goes well beyond just the residents and folks working here. Our city staff has a great deal of personal pride in Imperial Beach. You can see that every day. A prime example though, and I think most of you know a little bit about this, is the Boy Scouts from Troop 53 under the leadership of our own Public Works Director have done 24 projects in Imperial Beach. 27 plus families help those young men come to Imperial Beach with their friends and put quality projects out there. They may be small, but they really help. They made it a better place for everyone here in Imperial Beach, and we should appreciate those folks that come out and volunteer for us. But you know, some of these improvements are not only brought a better place for us to live, but we've received numerous awards for these improvements. We've got walkability awards, bikeability. I mean, there's a lot of neat things out there that regionally people appreciate what's been done in Imperial Beach. We're being recognized for those things. And hopefully, the leadership of our new city manager, we'll be able to display some of those so people can appreciate what the folks here in Imperial Beach have done. One other thing, we've installed 15 new or improved crosswalks in Imperial Beach. Think about Imperial Beach being as small as it is. That's enormous to be able to put those kind of public improvements in that make it a more walkable and a safer place to be here. We've leveraged our community development block grants. Those are federal funds for improvements such as crosswalks, fire equipment, ADA ramps, sidewalk improvements, and even park projects in all of our different parks. We have Veterans Park, People Park, Rima Park, and Sports Park. A little bit of that money's gone into all those things. That's taken that money that's available to us and trying to do the most that we can. Our city sponsored a facade improvement program along with the redevelopment agency. We've helped 89 different businesses improve their outward appearance and hopefully their bottom line. I mean, 89 businesses. If you know Imperial Beach, you know that's an enormous number for Imperial Beach. Another really interesting number fact is in public works grants alone, and I'm talking, for those that don't know, public works is the guys that do the streets, the sidewalks, the parks, and all that. We've received over $7.5 million in grant funding. Those are monies that we competed for, we qualified for, and they've gone to such things as the sports park for lighting, and including $1.5 million just on the Echo Bikeway along Palm Avenue from 7th to the beach. So let's talk a little bit about the present. Obviously, we have our long-awaited hotel and restaurant up and running. This place is beautiful. We really need to thank Pacifica Ashish. He stepped that little bit further. I think he stepped a lot further than what we originally expected for a product. And he's not here tonight. I didn't see him. Hopefully somebody from the hotel will convey my thanks to Ashish and Pacifica Hotels for what they did. The David Cohen group here, the same, I mean, I've been here twice for dinner. It's fantastic. They too saw the benefit of being here in Imperial Beach. We should thank them. They saw what Imperial Beach could really be. And I think it just makes me feel good that those folks from outside of our city saw the benefit to improve our city. But there are other things going on around town. We have businesses such as the big franchisees, McDonald's and Burger King. They saw a need to reinvest in their properties here in Imperial Beach. So both of those are getting what I call extensive remodels. You might not think much, they're fast food. That's an investment that came from a private entity. The 13th Street commercial corridor that we sometimes forget about a little bit, those are private investments down there. They're putting in mixed-use development with some retail, some housing options. They're cleaning up the eastern part of our town. And I really appreciate the fact that those folks see the benefit of doing that for themselves too. We have the Caroline Water folks moving on to Palm Avenue, and they're going to revamp another old commercial building. The people at La Posta Market, I don't know if you go by that, They missed the boat on redevelopment, but they saw the benefit for them to put those great improvements in and make it a lot more appealing to the folks that live here in Imperial Beach. We need to thank them too. There's change going on all over Imperial Beach, and that change is for the citizens of our community, making Imperial Beach a better place to live and work. Let's talk a little right now about finances. Imperial Beach, the commissioner mentioned it, finances in Imperial Beach have always been a struggle. We continue to be fairly stable and have for the last couple of years. We've had to make some very tough choices to continue that stability. I think our future, I know our future stands to be a lot more stable as we move forward. There have been some tough choices, right? But we have some fairly conservative fiscal policies, and I think that I'd like to thank my colleagues on the city council. I'd like to thank previous mayors, previous councils, because I think they established that we wanted to be a county within our means. I mean, if you take a look at it, we've got all those needs for public safety and maintaining our infrastructure. Look at our streets. I had the opportunity of going all over San Diego County, and I'm proud to say I think Imperial Beach is probably some of the best streets in all of San Diego County. That's little things, but we believe that's good for the people here of Imperial Beach, right? And we're in a strong and sound financial position. We are ready for the future and for continued success. One of the things talking around to other cities and the county and folks, people don't realize the city of Imperial Beach does not have any debt. Most cities that I know of in the state of California have some form of debt. We've managed ourselves. We do not borrow our children. We live within our means, and I think that's something to be really proud of. And I found out that even some of those cities we think are doing very strong have more debt than we do. Public safety still makes up at least 55% of our general fund budget. Even with that, we've been able to leverage more services. We have these partnerships that we really, really love here in Imperial Beach. The sheriff is one of those partners. The sheriff, under the leadership of Lieutenant Ryan today and his predecessors before that, they've leveraged grant funding, they've leveraged special groups of enforcement officers. Technically, we only pay for 2 patrol officers in our city. But if you know and you live here, you work here, you see a lot more than that. That's because they're leveraging the benefit of other programs to help us here in Imperial Beach. And one of those things that we just got crime statistics. Our theft, major crimes are down in 2013 and lower than they were in 2012. That's really good for us, and I think our Sheriff's Department has done a fantastic job here. The staff here at our city is constantly going the extra mile. We've been able to secure some long-term contracts, and our city employees are really the partner involved in that. Our contracts with our employees, the general employees in our SEIU, our fire department employees, our lifeguards, they really stepped up to the plate the last couple of years ago. We were negotiating that. Our fire department in particular went beyond what I've heard of anywhere in the state of California. They decided to contribute to the pension liabilities that we've incurred over the years and put up money up front. They were not required to do that by law for another couple of years, but the fire department folks thought that they could do it starting this year. And I really would like to say thank you to those folks for helping us along. And with the leadership of our Port Commissioner, Dan Malcolm, we have long-term contracts with the Port of San Diego. That's big for Imperial Beach, because when you do budgeting and try to figure out what you're going to look like over the next few years, you've got to have some stable ideas of where your expenses and revenues are. Long-term contracts, in this case with the Port, really make it easier for us to plan for the future. That, along with the Sheriff's Department, under Sheriff Bill Gore, we've got longer-term contracts with the Sheriff's Department as well. That, once again, makes it easier for us to plan for the future. And because in California you hear so much about pension liabilities, the City Council last year took the action to actually put money and pay down those pension liabilities. That too is virtually unheard of in most cities. And I really appreciate the fact that our council saw the need to do that, and we were able to put together the resources to do that. We're starting to see a lot of interest in private improvements, whether it be at the home front, where people are rebuilding or remodeling their own homes, or from the commercial sector with new properties and infill. Businesses are seeing the benefits and are improving on property on their own. This, I think, comes to what I believe is we're going through a renaissance period here. Not just It's throughout the city, the housing, in the parks, in our commercial quarters, in the schools, in our public infrastructure, everywhere. This renaissance is helping by raising property values. For those that don't know, I mean, the schools are part of our community. I really appreciate the folks from the high school district, the elementary school district. They partner with the city, but when we raise property values here, it not just helps the city of Imperial Beach, but 67% of those property tax revenues go to our schools. So when we make improvements here in Imperial Beach, whether we do it in our own homes, in the commercial world, we're helping our schools as well. And when you have better schools, you have a better community. And it's the partnership we have with whether it be schools, community colleges, that really make it a lot better and make it easier to work on. We have been able to leverage many of our projects with grant funding. I mentioned the $7.5 million earlier. We partner with other agencies. Actually, I think the policy, though unwritten at the moment, but we might go further with it, is, you know, if you're willing to help us out, we're willing to work with you. And we've done really well on that. Some of these projects we've invested as little as 10% of the project cost came out of city funds. The 90% came from other entities. These have included some street projects, some sidewalk projects, some bicycle projects, and of course with our parks as well. You know, and most recently, the Department of Finance, I mean, I see Mr. West in the back, he sits on our oversight board. They agreed with what the oversight board saw, and we were going to get paybacks on the loans that the city made to the previous redevelopment agency. That's a big hit because there was a lot of worries that the state didn't want to make us those paybacks. So I thank those that serve us on some of those volunteer groups. The Department of Finance agreed with that too. And lastly, we passed a 2-year budget, which ends in June of 2015. The budget is balanced. The city has healthy services. We've established policies of maintaining these reserves. Reserves are important because sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. We believe we should have some extra money just in case something goes wrong. And so we've looked at that, but we've also allocated extra money. We didn't have enough money to maintain our infrastructure the way we thought, things such as the streets. So last year we had put money aside so that we could bring the level of public improvements up to the level that Mr. Levine and the Public Works folks said that we needed to do, whether it be streets or sidewalks or parks, so that there's money there to do those things. But let's go on and talk about our future. I think that's what can really make people exciting. Over the years, the most important objectives for the city were and still are maintaining the small, quiet, casual atmosphere, create economic stability and sustainability, increase tourism while avoiding overcrowding, pursue appropriate development opportunities, pursue all available funding mechanisms to support the city, resolve the conflict between the overall objective of maintaining a small town, quiet atmosphere and the need and desire for moving forward. The future actually looks very, very exciting, at least from where I see. But folks, one of the things I have found out over the last 11 years is that with government, things do take time. So please be patient. We're going to get there. If you notice, we're persistent. We will get there if that's our goal. We've just recently accepted a grant. Once again, our grants to work on the next phase of improving Palm Avenue. We want to make it more for the people of Imperial Beach, not just those that want to drive through. This improvement will make it a friendlier and safer for the folks who live here in town. That project was done with a partnership with Sandag. We were able to leverage our $50,000 to get a $450,000 project. In other words, we got grant funding of $400,000 to move that project forward. And hopefully, going through the planning stages, going to reach out to the community, see what they think. We did this a couple years ago with the first phase, and then from there, maybe we can make some actual improvements on that roadway. We hope to soon see the construction of a new fence along Pond 20. Even though it's not in our city, I have, and I believe most of you all consider Pond 20 our front doorstep. The Port of San Diego has found a way to make it work. It might be a minor, just aesthetic improvement for now, but no matter what they do, it helps what we do here in Imperial Beach. We're surrounded by others. That entranceway is very, very important to us here in town. And I'd like to say thank you for it. We'll soon see the start of a new library. Our supervisor, Greg Cox, who couldn't be here this evening, see Greg Murphy from his office, is committed to putting a new library here in Imperial Beach. That's great. I mean, the project size and scope is kind of a little expensive, but the supervisor, with his colleagues at the board, at the county have come up with the money to do this. Hopefully, keep my fingers crossed, we'll see construction start either late this year or early next year. And that new library is right in the center of our town. I call it our Central Park, you call it our Veterans Park, but we want to make that a real central park. I think having a new library with some of the meeting facilities there is really, really going to make it nice. We are to this day discussing with our school districts, I mentioned them again, the possibilities of new tennis courts, maybe increasing time at the swimming pool, but these things also take time. I mean, we're a city council, I know how it works at our thing. The school districts have a board, they all have to go through the same process, and hopefully partnerships is what's going to make this all happen. I think the goal of both the city and the school districts and the conversations I've had is just to increase the recreational opportunities that we have here in Imperial Beach. Imperial Beach, the big picture, which has been kind of our guide for kind of where we want to go. It was done almost 2 decades ago, not quite. We've used that as kind of the roadmap to get where we're going. Whether it be a hotel here, development there, or whatever it is, it was what the community came together to say this is what they wanted. We've used that as our guide, and perhaps some of my colleagues believe, and I think we should move forward, maybe we need a 21st century update of that plan, or maybe just a small revision. It might not take that much. If you look at that plan, it really has the vision of what Imperial Beach is and wants to be. We can't forget that we're surrounded by the Tijuana River, the estuary, national, as wetlands. It's a beautiful thing. It's what makes Imperial Beach so different than some other small communities. But with the efforts of the Tijuana River Recovery Team, International Boundary and Wastewater Commission, I think they're going to be able to move forward and not just worried about the water, but also get into sediment management, perhaps some of the trash that affects that thing. This is a resource. It's not just for Imperial Beach. It's all of California. It's the United States. It's imperative. I think that they're really seeing that there's more opportunities to do more in that area. Those are some folks that have been plugging along. I think it was many, many years ago that I went to the first meeting of the recovery team, and I think they're finally getting their legs and can move stuff forward down there. But partnerships have always and always will be the key to Imperial Beach, whether it be the port, the county, the school districts, our partners. I know there's a couple council members here from Coronado, City of San Diego. There's so many people that can help us, but we try to help them. I think those partnerships is what's going to keep us moving forward. I think our reputation out there is very, very good. People like to work with us. So I think that's something we'll be able to continue. I think the present council would like to continue that. If you look at it, the county, not just parks, the library we talked about, some of the bicycle projects, those are driven by the county. The port, of course, we all know the port. It's got our beachfront, our waterfront. They've done some fantastic artwork. They help support our lifeguards. They help maintain the beach area. So that a partnership like that can't be ignored. But also the transportation agencies, the bus system. They listen to what we want. They try to make those improvements. They're a little more constrained than even the city of Imperial Beach when it comes to finances, but they're willing to work with us, and we have great representation down there too. Caltrans, who has Highway 75, there might be a little difficult, another state agency, but I think they're willing to try to make things work. I wish their bureaucracy wasn't as big as it is, but it works. I mentioned Sanday. We've gotten grant funding for the Echo Bikeway, the Old Palm Avenue, the planning things. Those are things that they help us not only with the funds, but they have a deep resource in planning, technical knowledge that come forward and help us with all those things. So some of those partnerships, I think, are very, very important. One of the things that's hard to touch on and people don't understand is volunteers. In a sense, everyone here tonight is volunteer. This is your time. You took time out of your day to come here. Well, volunteers, whether they be with the Kiwanis, the Chamber of Commerce, Optimists, the library folks, just to name a few, that's their own time. We can't ever figure out how they're able to do it. And it takes so much of them. And volunteers, I've always tried to say you can't fire a volunteer, but it's hard to appreciate them. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody that volunteers even a little bit of your time to make Imperial Beach a better place. To go to more specific in the future, I'm going to touch on something that's very exciting to me, and that's called 9th and Palm. We have a partner at 9th and Palm called Sudbury Properties. We've had a little difficulty, Department of Finance, rundown of redevelopment, getting to where we want to go. Myself, a couple members of the city staff, especially Greg Wade, went north to Sacramento last week on Thursday to discuss this. They didn't quite see eye to eye. It's very hard for somebody that works 500 miles away to understand what this weird piece of property on Highway 75 really looks like. And I'd like to thank the folks, Greg Wade especially, who went up there. We convinced the Department of Finance not to side with us, but to actually change their mind and support our project. In that meeting was our Assemblywoman, Toni Atkins, hopefully soon to be the next Speaker of the Assembly. She, I personally would like to thank, made a huge difference. She didn't have to say a thing. It's the presence, the fact that she wants to support Imperial Beach makes all the difference to us in the world. And we really have to say, I have to say, thank you, Ms. Atkins. You did more than I ever expected. And what we have today, the Department of Finance gave a green light to moving forward with Sudbury Properties Development at 9th and Palm. And esteemed, I know this, you're here from the Sudbury folks. He couldn't guarantee me the shovel would go in the ground tomorrow, but I think it's going to be pretty damn close right after that. They are a fantastic development group. They bring a reputation. They bring a reputation that will follow them. The fact that they might not be doing the biggest development they've ever done. I mean, they do massive developments compared to what we have here. They bring one like a stamp of confidence in Imperial Beach. We don't know exactly the product they're bringing. They now have the go-ahead to go out and make some leasing deals. But I'm thrilled. I have a feeling they're probably just as thrilled as I am. I think they're going to bring more to us than what we expected, similar to what Pacifica did here with this hotel. It's going to be better. It's going to be more. It's going to be something that Imperial Beach really, really deserves. And there's a lot of work. City Council that I sit with, the Oversight Board, successor agency, we fought, but it was a very hard fight. I wish it could have happened last year. But as I said, it's hard to convince somebody that's in a bureaucracy in Sacramento of what a little piece of property in Imperial Beach looks like. And we convinced them. And I cannot believe we actually did that. I thought it would be another delay. But they came through for us, but it's really the efforts of everybody. I mean, it was, I believe, a unanimous vote at the Oversight Board to move forward with that thing. It's that kind of confidence. The Oversight Board is made up of school districts, counties. It's everybody that sees everything, and they saw the benefit for it. We just had to get that word north in Sacramento. So I'm really thankful to everybody to make that work, but especially Assemblywoman Atkins. She really came forward for us. We have another neat project. I know you've heard a lot about Bikeway Village. I see Rex Butler out here. That's going to change the Bayfront side. It's going to be thrilling. He's gone through the Coastal Commission. He, too, has stuck with the city of Imperial Beach for many years, saying that this idea still will work. It was his idea. He came to us with it, and we embraced it. I believe what we're going to find down on our Bayfront, which for those of you that get out there, take a look. The view on our Bayfront is only challenged by the view that we have out here behind us on the ocean. It's beautiful. You see all of San Diego, and now that the city of Chula Vista and the port demolished that power plant, it looks even nicer. I've had the opportunity to be in there watching that with several young kids on the telescopes. They were thrilled to see that. We also have a locally owned group of people called Coronado Brewing coming to town. They're coming across the street. Ron Chapman and some of the folks that put that together, they actually live here in Imperial Beach. They see it. It might say Coronado Brewery on it, but they're ours. They live here. And that's just, you know, people see the benefit of trying to do these things. Bobby D. Felipe, when they put Felipe's in, there probably people said, what are you doing? You know, but he knew it. He lived up the street, but he saw the benefit of coming down here to Imperial Beach. And I know those that have been there, they still do a very good business. They're a classy act, and appreciate them coming to town. I mentioned the Habitat for Humanity. They did a project on Florida Street with four sale places. I met some of the people that moved in. They got the Home Depot Foundation. They went out and spruced out several, I don't know, dozens and dozens of properties as part of their outgoing project. They're going to come back to us and do a project at 10th and Donnex. Once again, for sale, for families to live here. These are for families. But the habitat thing, like I mentioned on Florida, hopefully it asks, kind of encourages others to move forward with ideas that they might have too. Our new city manager, Andy Hall, has been working with the folks that put together and trying to work on some deals to the sports park complex and bring more recreational amenities to Imperial Beach. Might be delayed a little bit, but that's due to change of management at the city hall. We'll get there. We plan on getting there. Andy, you and the Fish and Wildlife folks, they're working on a project called Birders Point along our bayfront. And part of that goal is to make it so people can go out and view the birding that goes on out there, but it's also to make it a safer transition, because there's a lot of bicyclists now on our Bayshore Bikeway, but there's also a lot of people walking it, young mothers with kids in strollers. And I think what Fish and Wildlife sees is an opportunity to make some improvements so that we can accommodate bicyclists, people walking, and of course young families. We've talked about alleys. People have come to our city council and talked about alleys. We don't have an ultimate solution to that, but I think the council is committed to finding a way to slowly move forward on starting to improve those unimproved alleys in Imperial Beach. We don't have the ultimate solution, but we will get there. One of the things that people don't realize is our graffiti folks. I think you all have seen them out there. We're probably some of the most positive people on chasing graffiti. That's a city function day to day. And I think that you see it, I see it. We don't have, and nor do we want, as much graffiti as some other communities have. At 2nd and Palm, we just approved a small mixed-use project. That takes an empty lot that's down there at 2nd and Palm and puts another development there. Hopefully the retail that they can bring in there will support what they're putting together. It adds a couple more homes for people to live here in Imperial Beach. Council took action a couple weeks ago to establish policies on how we move forward with capital improvements. I think that's important so that we have a plan and how we can get that plan to move forward. So I think the council has done a really good idea of saying, this is how we set our priorities, and we'll see how that works out. Another grant program that we got is to make some improvements to 13th Street. It's gonna make it a bicycle-friendly road all the way from the Bayshore Bikeway to the Navy base. And I'm trying to work with the county supervisor to make that part of the trail system that goes from the border of California and Oregon all the way to the border of California and Mexico, but also touch Imperial Beach, so we become part of that. That's a bicycle walking trail, and we've always embraced those type of things. And I can't forget to thank my folks at EDCO. Last council meeting, we put out some grants to a lot of nonprofit organizations here. They've always stepped up and made some community investment. And we've got things such as butterfly gardens coming, a lot of just neat projects that their little funding can help along and just kind of push some folks forward on that. And of course, SDG is going to continue its undergrounding. Those projects take some time. We're working on our next project, which is Ocean Lane, north of Palm Avenue. And hopefully that gets done. We'll be able to pick another several blocks of Imperial Beach and slowly underground power lines and make it a nicer place. So I guess in closing, I want to re-emphasize that I'm honored to be your mayor. I'm honored to be able to sit here and give this presentation. It's been a great 7 years as mayor. I did have 4 years on the council. I worked with some fantastic people, Patricia and Maida, and folks that really showed me the way and what Imperial Beach is all about. And hopefully that's what we're going to continue to make Imperial Beach, our home, a better place to live, one step at a time. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate your time.
Restaurant out front, right for today. It is a no.